Morning, students. How are you? We have already started chapter 3 economic reform. We have seen what is economic reform and what are the various factors responsible for it. We have seen that economic reform means various plans and policy which have to be framed again for the economic development of the country. We have seen that economy of the India is going to collapse. There is so much financial crisis like the fall in the foreign exchange reserve, deficit in the balance of payment, and many more. So for this, to remove all these financial crises, it becomes necessary to frame again various plans and policies. Then, new economic policy. What is new economic policy? NEP. It is called as new because it is framed in the year 1991. Whatever the period 1950 to 1990, we have seen there is so much financial crisis. These plans and policies developed for improving the financial condition of the economy. But instead of helping this in the economy, these plans and policy hampered our economy. So it became necessary to frame again various policy, which is called as a new economic policy because it is framed after 1990. So new economic policy refers to economic reforms introduced since 1991 to improve the productivity, which means India should be able to produce more and more because population is increasing and India should export more and more for facing the global competition also and profitability of the economy. This policy introduced by P.V. Narasimha Rao as Prime Minister with the Finance Minister Manmohan Singh. How they have introduced this policy? When the India was facing the financial crisis, they take the help from the World Bank and IMF. They laid down various conditions that India should liberalize its policy. There should be the open door of the economy for the world also. There should be the free import and export, open economy. And India should give the chance to also the private sector to increase the competition. So these are various conditions laid down by the World Bank and IMF. And our Prime Minister and Finance Minister agreed on these conditions and they have framed these plans and policies. Measures of new economic policy. What are the new various measures of this NEP 1991? They are the stabilization measure and structural adjustment measure, which is called as structural adjustment for this new economic policy. Measures of policy introduced by government is placed under two different groups. These are called as a new economic policy. Stabilization and structural adjustment. First one is a stabilization. What is that stabilization? We have seen there is a fall in the foreign exchange. There is a increase in the general price level of essential goods. There is a inflation. So government want that all these things should be stabilized. Unless and until all these things are stabilized, economy cannot grow. So first step is taken to improve the economic condition is to stabilize all these uh, problems. So these are the short-run measures introduced by government to introduce rise in the price, adverse balance of payment. We have seen that there is deficit in the balance of payment and fall in the foreign exchange reserve. All these things should control. So stabilization measure play very important role for controlling all these financial crises. Then structural adjustment. After the stabilization, next step is to give the structure to the economy. These are the long-run policy aimed at improving the efficiency of the economy. With the help of the long-run policy, there will be improvement in the efficiency of economy and economy should be able to fight the competition. How? There is a structural adjustment. There is structural adjustment with the help of the three pillars of the NEP. What are these three pillars? LPG. These are the three pillars: liberalization, privatization, and globalization. These are the three pillars for the new economic policy. With the help of the three pillars, India is able to improve the efficiency as well as increasing international competitiveness. So there is a remove all the barriers for the economic development. We can see in this diagram Liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Liberalization, industrial policy, various policy resolutions are taken, reforms were taken in the liberalization. Under the privatization, you can see, we'll see various factors in which there is a priority is given to private sector. And globalization, international trade, free import and export of goods without any restriction. So we'll see afterwards. First, we'll take the liberalization. What is liberalization? Liberalize means remove all unnecessary control and restrictions. Whatever their restrictions and control put on the private sector, they cannot set up their industries, they cannot expand their industries without the approval of the government. All these unnecessary control are removed. It is defined as loosening of government regulation. Means role of the government sector, public sector is came down and much priority is given to the private sector and allowed for the private sector to operate business transaction with fewer restriction. There is no much restriction for the private sector. They can freely work because for the improvement for the development of the economy. What are the various objectives? Why this liberalization take place? To decrease the debt burden of the economy. We have seen that India is borrowing much finance from the outside world. So on that borrowing, they have to pay the also interest. So there is a fall in the foreign exchange reserve. So to decrease the debt burden of the country, to expand the size of the market. To expand the size of the market means there should be more and more producer for the goods because India is not able to produce sufficient. They have to import from outside because only the public sector is working, private sector is not given so chance to participate in the economic development. They have given so many restrictions, license, permission. So because of that, there are the major role of the public sector only. To increase competition among domestic industry. One of the objective is to increase the competition among domestic industry. If more and more private sector will increase in the India, what will happen? There will be the competition among domestic industry. The producers, because of increase in the number of producers, there will be what happen? If the producers are increasing, what will happen? Supply will increase. Because of that, price will go down. So this is the benefit of increasing the competition. To encourage export and import of goods and services. This is also one of the major objectives to encourage export. If there is much more producers, much more industries, what will happen? India will export more and more. Because of export, what will happen? Foreign exchange will come inside. Come in the India, and what are the deficit will be curbed. So these are the objectives of liberalization. Then we can see that there are the various reforms introduced under the liberalization. Industrial sector, financial sector reform, fiscal reform, foreign exchange reform, and trade and investment reform. We'll see one by one what are these reforms. These all reforms are under liberalization. Under the liberalization, we'll study all these reforms. First is the industrial sector reform. We have seen in the IPR 1956, Industrial Policy Resolution, what we have seen in that in industrial sector, priority is given to public sector only. Not so priority is given to private sector. So what happened? Because of that, there is not so much industries in the India. First reform which is taken is industrial reform. Under that, abolition of industrial licensing. We have seen that in the IPR, various licenses have to be given to the private sector for expanding the business, for setting up of new business. So all this abolition of industrial licensing. If they have to start without any permission from the government, they can expand their business. So licensing is a major drawback of that industry, which is removed from that NEP, removed from the industrial sector reform. And for only few industries like the liquor, cigarette, hazardous chemicals, and industrial explosive, drug and pharmaceuticals. In this industry, only license is required. Then contraction of public sector. Contraction of public sector, we have seen that role of the public sector is much more Industry is reserved for public sector is 17, which reduced from 17 to 3 industry, which are the railway, defense and atomic. We have seen in the IPR Schedule A, 17 industries are reserved for public sector. So these industries is reduced from 17 to 3 industries only, which are railway, defense and atomic industry. Next is a freedom to import capital goods. If the industry have to expand, they want more and more capital. For the most expansion of the industry, NEP have given the freedom to the industries for importing more and more capital goods. They can import whatever the goods and technology they want for the strong industrial base of the country. Industries were free to import the capital goods. Whatever they want for the strong industrial base, they can import. But they have to set up the industry. They have to participate in the economic development of the country. Then de-reservation of production by small-scale industry. We'll see in this de-reservation of production by small-scale industry. Here we have seen that in the SSI, what we have seen that so much products are reserved. Production was reserved for the small-scale industry. And these were de-reserved in the NEP and given opportunities to other industries also. If they want to produce that goods which are reserved from SSI, they can produce by the other industries also. Then the price determination by market forces. What is that price determination? We have seen that price was controlled to the government. Whatever the price is decided by the government before NEP. But after that, freedom is given. The price can be decided on the basis of market and supply forces. So these are the price determination by market force. All these factors, all these points are related to industrial sector reform. First is abolition of industrial licensing, contraction of public sector, freedom to import capital goods, de-reservation of production by small-scale industries, and price determination by market forces. Then next reform is a financial sector reform. What is financial sector? Financial sector is related to banking sector. Banking sector is regulated and controlled by RBI. So this sector include various financial institutions such as commercial bank, investment bank and foreign exchange market. This sector is controlled by the RBI. We know that RBI is a apex bank. RBI is the head of the bank. So various rules and regulations are framed by the RBI for financial sector. In this reform, we'll see there is how the role of RBI. What was the role of RBI? Before NEP, before new economic policy, RBI was a regulator. RBI was a regulator. RBI is framing all the plans and policy. But after NEP, role of the RBI changed from regulator to facilitator. RBI become the facilitator. They are giving various facilities to the banks for opening and setting up of various banks in the India. So what happened? They can take the self-decision on various matters. They can take their self-decision without consulting from the RBI. Again and again, no need to take approval for the expansion of various branches, modification, reconstruction, no need for that. So, role of the RBI change from the regulator to facilitator. Next is the establishment of private sector bank. We have seen in the IPR, major role was before NEP, major role was to public sector. But after NEP, what happened? Private sector is given much and much chance in case of industries also, in case of financial sector also. Financial sector, private sector is given chance to set up the private sector bank. If they want to start up the banks, they can start. Indians also have given the chance and as well as the foreign banks can set up their branches in India. We have seen that after NEP, after 1991, private banks like the Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, SDFC, so many banks are there for the private sector. And foreign banks, we can see that foreign banks, we can take the example of HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation, American Bank, Citibank. So these are the various foreign banks in the India after NEP. So what happened? Private sector bank have given chance. Private sectors have given chance to set up their banks in India. What will happen if there is much more banks in India? What will happen? Private sector is increasing in case of bank. What will happen? Ultimately, the benefit will enjoy by the customers. There will be good customer service given by the banks, and there will be fall down in the interest rate of the various loans and advances. So this benefit will be enjoyed by the customers if there is much more establishment of the private sector banks. Then foreign investment. What is foreign investment? Before 1991, foreign investment in Indian financial market was very much restricted. But after NEP, foreign investors are allowed to invest in India up to a limit of 50-51%. FFI, financial institutional investors are also allowed to invest in the Indian financial market. What will happen if there is a foreign investment? What will happen? There will be what we are facing. There is a fall in the foreign exchange that will be set up. The deficit in the foreign exchange, fall in the foreign exchange day by day, that will go. So foreign investment play also very important role. Ease of expansion. What is that ease of expansion? With the help of the NEP, after 1991, banks were given freedom. They can set up their banks, their branches, without the approval from RBI. If they want to reconstruct, they want to modify, they want to set up new ATM, they can set up everywhere. So, ease of expansion. And without any permission, with the full freedom, they can set up the new branches. So, what is that? Under the financial sector reform, we have seen role of RBI, establishment of private sector bank, foreign investment, and ease of expansion. Now next is a fiscal reform, tax reform. What is tax? Tax is what? Compulsory payment made by the individuals to the government. It is the compulsory. There are the two types of tax. We know that direct and indirect tax. After NEP, in the NEP, what reform were taken? Reduction in the direct tax. You have seen that there is a tax evasion. Before NEP, there is a tax evasion. There is less revenue for the government. So various points were taken why this revenue is incurring very less to the government because of too much higher direct tax. In the NEP, that point was taken that there should be the reduction in the direct tax. Direct tax, if there is falling down the rate of the tax, what will happen? The people will honestly show their real income. They will pay tax because of the reduction in the direct tax. So what will happen? It will generate more and more revenue for the government because of reduction in the tax rate of the direct tax. Then the reform in the indirect tax. What is indirect tax? Indirect tax means tax which cannot be pass on. This tax is imposed on the goods and services. So various reforms in the indirect tax were undertaken because it was so complicated. So many taxes are there. We know that there is VAT, excise duty, service tax. So many taxes are there. So there is very complex procedure for indirect tax, and it become very difficult to understand that. So reform were taken in the indirect tax to make it easy, and after in the year 2017, GST made it possible with one nation, one market and one tax. It become very easy to pay the tax with the help of the GST. Then next is a simplified paying procedure. Before NEP, what happened? The procedure for paying tax was so complicated. It is not understood by a single man. Common man cannot understood what is a paying procedure, how they have to file the return, for whom it is payable. No one know very well. But after NEP, the tax paying procedure becomes so simple that common man can understood that and they can file their return. They can file the tax, pay the tax. So it is a very simplified tax paying procedure. After that, foreign exchange reform. What is foreign exchange? First of all, we should know that what is foreign exchange. Foreign exchange means currencies of various countries kept by the RBI under its custody. RBI is a custodian of foreign exchange. Whenever we are importing, exporting, RBI is giving the foreign exchange on behalf of this. So what happened? What is the foreign exchange rate? It is the rate at which currency of one country is exchanged with the currency of other country. Take example that $1 equal to 75 rupees. If we want $1, we have to pay 75 rupees. So that is the exchange rate. So foreign exchange reform play very important role in the industrial external sector. In the external sector to bring the reform in the foreign exchange market. You can see that the major role was taken for the devaluation of the rupee. What is devaluation of rupee? We can understood with the help of the example that suppose $1 is equal to 72 rupees before the devaluation. Before the devaluation, it is 74 2 rupees against $1. But after devaluation, $1 is equal to 75 rupees. So government is devaluing. Why this happen? Why this devaluation is taken place? Because of devaluation, what will happen? We have seen that $1 is equal to 72 rupees. If foreigners came to our country, they are buying something from India against $1, they will pay only 72 rupees. They can purchase the goods costing rupees 72. But after devaluation, they can purchase against $1 goods costing rupees 75. So that is benefit for them. They will buy more and more goods from India. So what will happen? Export of India will increase. If export of India will increase, what will happen? There will be much increase in the foreign exchange. Increase in the foreign exchange reserve in India. So to give the more and more export, what will happen? It will result in more and more export and less import. Our export will be benefited from the devaluation of rupee. Then adopting flexible exchange rate system. Before NEP, there was a fixed exchange rate. There was fixed exchange rate. It was decided, controlled by the government. But after NEP, market forces were allowed to determine the foreign exchange. As per the demand and supply of the foreign currency, the exchange rate will be decided. So foreign exchange reform play a very important role in the foreign exchange market. The next is a tax, trade and investment reform. Trade and investment. We've seen that there is very much less trade and investment. Why? Because there is no chances given to the private sector for participating in the economic development. So many rules and regulations, restrictions were given. So what happened? After NEP, reforms were taken in the trade and investment to increase the efficiency. Increase the efficiency means optimum utilization of resource and increasing competitiveness in international market. India should be able to fight the competition in the international market. So what are the various reforms undertaken in the trade and investment? We know that if there is more and more trade and investment, what will happen? There will be the growth of the economy. If there is a growth of the economy, ultimately the India will development of the country. So the reform is taken is a reduction in the quota. We have seen that quota was given as a limit. As per the limit in the quota, rate is decided, quantity is decided. The investors can purchase this much quantity only. So reduction in quota means particular limit of the quantity was reduced. Ultimately, there is a removal of the quota. Removal in the quota, they can import and export freely. Whatever the goods and services they want, they can import and export. The next is the removal of export duty. What is that removal of export duty? India is exporting goods, but on that they have to pay the export duty. So what happened? This export duty is discouraging for export, more and more export. So after removal of export duty, what will happen? there will be increase in export. Because of export, what will happen? There will be increase in the foreign exchange. Foreign exchange will come to India. Next is a reduction in import duty. Import duty is paid on import. The investors are allowed, they can import whatever the goods, technology, capital goods they want for the setup of the industries, but particular duty decided by the government they have to pay on that. So import, there is a reduction, not fully removal, because this is a revenue generator for the government. The last is a import licensing was abolished. Various restrictions were put that each and every import we have to take the license, that was abolished. And in case of few sensitive industries, explosive, hazardous chemicals, for that only importing that, only for that things the import license is required. So these are the various trade and investment reform. What is that? Trade and investment for the better development of the country, for better increase in efficiency, competitiveness, trade and investment is required. If there is a circular flow of money, the economy will develop. So it is the most important reform in the economic development, trade and investment reform. So we have seen the 5 reforms undertaken under liberalization. We have seen industrial sector reform, financial sector reform, fiscal reform, foreign exchange reform, and trade and investment reform. Thank you so much.